Okay, so welcome to part 2 of the bracket build. We last left it where I'm going to have to cut this down the middle, and I've marked it to 4 3/4 inches, which is, I've worked out about what I'm going to need. It's freezing cold in here. I just put myself a nice new hacksaw blade in. I'm going to have a bit of Jossop and we'll give it a go. This should hopefully warm me up a bit, because as I say, it's blooming freezing in here today. See if we can get this started. That tip is a little bit hard. I think I've got it a bit hot. Anyway, I'm going to have to go fairly slow and steady, because I don't want to risk going off the line too much, because I don't want to end up with sort of one thin arm and one thick arm, or one thick in one part and thin in another. So I'm going to go fairly steady. But as I say, this is going to take me some time. But I'm going to warm myself up. Anyway, I won't bore you with all of it, so I'll come back when I'm nearly done. Right, I've got almost there. I've got as far as I can with the hacksaw blade at the traditional position, so I've had to turn it sideways so I can get into the groove, because the frame is in the way. So I've just swapped it round, and now I'm just going to go down to the line the last little bit. You can just about see the line still, so check that it's coming down fairly square. We're nearly there. This is where I could have done with my little bandsaw, Porter band, which is on the cards, but not here yet. We're going to just about, I think that's it, that's there. So next thing we've got to do, we've got to split it open and tidy up this end. So let's get it over to the forge, see what we can do. Right, I'm just going to try and open it up over this little hardy cutter to start with. Just give it a tap and it should start. There we go. And we can just prise it open. Again, I can tap it from above, but not too hard, because I don't want to damage the top piece. I'll just take out some of the saw marks. I'm going to have to get this hot again anyway, so it's just an idea. As I say, I'm going to try and open it up by hand, because I don't really want to hit it too much on the top, because I don't want to damage that corner. Although it's, it's fairly flat, I just don't want to put any marks in it. So we'll get it hot, and hopefully we'll be able to open it up just by bashing it down on the anvil. Get rid of that, don't need that now. Right, let's see if that's hot enough. That'll probably do. I'm just going to give it a little tap, but that's hot enough that that should open up nicely, just whacking it. There's not as much weight as there was when I first did this, but we're getting there. I don't know if you can see, there's a little sort of V left in there. I'd like to get a little bit more of it out, but I don't want to get too much out, because it'll take the strength away from the corners. That's quite nice and flat. I'm going to draw these down just a touch, not massively, just enough to sort of so you notice it, but as I say, it won't show too much. Level it out. So I don't know if you can see that V in there. Let's see if I can show you a bit closer. See, there's that V where it was cut, and I don't want to open it up too much because I'll just lose the strength in those corners. So I'm going to leave that like that. Just checking that each side is the right length, roughly. Now, just going to get one warm at a time, obviously. See if we can draw it out a bit. Tidy up the diamond. Do that with, oh, throwing them about. Do that with the smaller hammer. As I say, it's blooming freezing here today. It's had a really thick frost to scrape the windows this morning with the truck. Alright, now I'm just going to gently taper it out a little bit and sort of flare out that diamond a little bit. Just gently work on the diamond shape. It's quite awkward to handle this, but with it at 90 degrees. But it's not too bad. You've just got to think about where you want to put it on the anvil and how to hold it and how to hit it without damaging the diamond. Again, this is probably where I could have done with a flatter. I could have put it on the edge of the anvil and just run the flatter up and down it a couple of times. That would have tapered it out quite nicely. I think that's going to have to be either a project or I'm going to have to just go and buy myself one. I'll probably just go and buy one because I haven't got the energy to start knocking 7 shades out of a great big lump of iron. Right, now do the other side. Just do the same to that. Try and square that diamond up a bit more. Again, only need a couple of hits on each side, otherwise you'll end up pushing it way off centre. You can see that one's still quite thick. I think I probably need a second heat on that one, unless I can give it some beans. It's starting to get a bit hot to hold, so I'm just going to lay that there for a minute, go and see if I can find a glove. That's the heat's working its way up. Even though I can't feel the fat lot with this left hand, I can feel that it's getting hot. Alright, where was I? Just try and keep everything, like I always say, fairly somewhere near square and level. Now I'm going to punch these holes in here like I did for the brace. So let's see if we can get them hot and give it a go. I'm going to use my stud punch, which is slightly bigger than the one I used before. This is my 3/8 stud punch. Now I'm holding this up with my chin, which is quite awkward to hold with your chin and hammer it. So I'm going to turn it over. Now I think I'll hold it up with my foot. I don't know if you can just see there's a mark where it came through from the other side. If you watch carefully, there it goes. The slug dropped out. And there you go. Nice little punched hole. It's not quite big enough, so I might just stick that back through it again, that punch. Just open it up. I want the holes about 5/16 or 8mm, something like that. Discussed it with the client last night as to what size coach bolts he wants to put into the post, and he sort of left it up to me, but we just sort of discussed between 1/4 and 5/16, and I think 5/16 would be far better really, because there's quite a bit of weight there, or there will be by the time we've got the lantern on the end of it and all the glass in it. Now this isn't going to be quite so easy because I can't, no, that's buggered it. I can't hold it with my chin this time because the thing's the other way around. Let's see if I can do it this way. Hold it from this side, and it's a bit cack-handed trying to, no, I can't get any oomph behind it. Right, I'm going to try something else. Let me get my hold down and see if I can put it into the hardy and just hold it across the anvil, because otherwise it ain't going to work. Dead handy, these little things, they really are. So let's see if we can get that to work. That's the sort of difficulty of working on your own, when sometimes you could just do with someone just holding something level for you, or just holding something upright like this. It's no physical strength needed, you just want someone to hold that up for me. That's got it. So if we just give that, oh, it's come loose. That's it, that's enough. Get rid of that. Right, we'll do that in a minute. Now you can, again, you can just see there black or a dark spot, and again if you watch closely you'll see the slug drop out there. And there we go, that's the second one. So again, we'll level that out and make that a little bit bigger. Oh, steady. That's got it. Oh, bugger. Never mind. Right, so we're gonna just level that one back out. You see, it's again, it's a nice little hole. It hasn't deformed the diamond too much, so I'm just going to level it all out and then check it's fairly square both ways. So the next job will be to bend these down, and funnily enough, the width of this anvil right at this end is exactly the size that we need for the post, 4 3/4 inches. So I made a little jig, but I don't need it, so I'm just going to clamp it to the vise there, to the anvil, and see if we can bend it down. So yeah, I made a little jig out of a bit of 4-inch box section and welded some 3/8 onto the side. I don't need it. Right, so I've just marked it 2 inches each way from the 3/4 upright, and that will give us the right size. So I'm just gonna, that's how I'm gonna set it up. Let's just hope it works. So we'll get it warm, see what happens. Now I'm just cooling out the end because I don't want to damage it when I hit it, so I just stuck that in the water, and right, let's see what happens. Now you can see there it's pulling across, So I'm not going to knock that fully down. I'm going to try and knock it back a bit, because as I say, that pulled across. So I'm going to leave that like that and do the other one first, so that we try and sort of keep them even. I don't want one long one and one short one, so I'm not going to sort of finish one off and get it nice and neat and then find I've got to alter it. So I'm going to do the other one first. Again, I've just cooled that diamond out. Now this shouldn't pull this time, because obviously the other one's hooked over the other end. But I want to make sure I get them both the same sort of length. So again, I'm not going to finish them off, I'm just going to check the sizes, and you can see the one that I did first is slightly longer, and they're not level, they're all over the place. So that'll be the next job, tidy them all up, get them level, get them the same length. And I'm just going to again cool out the diamonds. We don't really need them warm. Right, so I'm just going to gently level it out. I want a fairly sharp bend. I don't want it too sharp. I don't want to risk there being any fracture points, so that it might break sort of over time, not necessarily straight away. But so I want to keep a nice little radius inside the bend, and I haven't seen the post, or I've seen it but I haven't seen it close up. You can see they're still a bit twisted, but obviously the edge of the post can be radiused if it's not radiused enough when this gets fitted. So we're just trying to level it up without doing any harm to it. That's a little bit better. It's still not right, but they're pretty much the same, although that right one is still left, as you're looking at it, is still slightly longer than the right one. So I think I might have to fiddle about with that a little bit before I finish. But I've got to go and bend the brace. Right, before I bend it, I've cleaned it up quite substantially. You can see I've taken all the scale off, or most of the scale off, because it's much easier to do when it's in a straight bar than when it's bent, and even easier than it is when it's all assembled. I don't know if you can just see there, I've marked about 3 1/4 inches at each end, and we're just going to bend that. I'm not sure, I'm guessing that it's going to be half of 45 for some reason. I don't know why I think that, but I'm just going to sort of guess it at that sort of angle. I'm just going to do a bit at a time. I can always do more. It's easier to do a little bit more than to take a bit out. So I'm just going to leave it at that. Let's do the other end. Sure it's on the line, make sure it's fairly level. Again, I'm not going to go too far, just eyeballing it. Let's have a little look at that, see what that looks like. There we go, same on each end. Let's go and try it. And no, something's not right there, I don't think. No, definitely not. Made a complete balls up there. That's actually got to be 45, I think, the way I've just looked at it. I just put it up against the corner of the wall and it's nowhere near, so set it up again This time we'll bend it to 45, but as I've decided that's what it's going to be, I'm going to cheat because I don't own a protractor of any sort, so I'm going to use my angle finder, which I use on loads of jobs. And if I go out on site and I'm measuring up for steps for a handrail, I want to know what the angle of the handrail's got to be, I use this. So I'm just going to quickly set this up on the, as you can see, it reads out on both sides, but I'm just going to set it up on this, on my bender, for 135 degrees. So just eyeballing it again over the top. It's not 100% accurate, but that's about where it's going to be. And I'm just going to put a little chalk mark on the base there, and then we'll just pull it round a little bit more to that mark. That's it, about there. And hopefully that should be right this time. That looks a bit better. And let's check it with the little gadget. Now I've already done the other end. I forgot to turn the camera on when I did that, so that's why I've only shown you one. Right, and if you can see there, and as I'm not looking at it, I've realised that it's upside down. Let's have a look. There you can see 135 degrees. Spot bollock. Let's check the other end. I can hold it on this. It's so difficult with this bloody hand to hold things properly. There we go, 135 degrees. Well, that's good enough for me. So, next job, what we've got to do, figure out how to fix it. So I'm going to put some holes in here, and I might put a strap around it as well, because the drawing calls for a sort of a strap, but I'm actually going to, I think, rivet it just to make sure, sort of belt and braces, because the strap's not particularly strong on its own. So I'm just going to clean up as much as I can with the wire brush. Again, same reason, you know, the cleaner you can get something before you assemble it, it's much easier to clean it up in bits than try and clean it up once it's all assembled. So we'll give it a go. This is a mighty angle grinder I've got here with this wire brush on. I bought it second hand off eBay for something ridiculous like 15 quid. It was an ex-tool hire, but it's got a speed control on it. It's got about 5 different speeds, because these big wire brush cut brushes are only supposed to run at about 8,000 revs or something ridiculous, but a normal angle grinder runs at about 13,000 or 11,000 or something like that. So with the speed control you can turn it right down. And also it's 1400 watts, would you believe? So there is no way you stop it. You've got to be really careful with it. If it catches up, it'll break your arm rather than stop. Whereas my smaller ones tend to stall if you catch anything, but this thing is so powerful. And for 15 quid, it's, I'll tell you what, it's worth its weight in horse shit. It's brilliant. If ever I could afford a new one, I'd certainly buy one, but next tool hire, got no complaints from me. So we're just going to get as much as we can off, get some of the scale and rust and all the what's it marks. So let's do this end, or I've done this end. I didn't show you this end, but I'm just going to do the inside with a file, because obviously you can't get the wire brush in there. So I'm just going to take as much of the scale out as I can. Again, for as much as anything, getting the powder coating to stick nicely. I don't want any scale to sort of flake off after it's powder coated, and obviously that's going to cause problems. So I want to get it nice and clean. Right, now that's not bad, but I've got a bit of a lump in the bottom there, which doesn't seem to want to come off. So what I'm going to do is just get the die grinder on it, just take that little lump out. I think it's a bit of, I don't know what it is, a bit of slag or something or other's got stuck in there, which doesn't seem to want to come off with the file. So we'll get this on it. And you can see it's where the sparks are coming, that's where I'm hitting it. Don't know what it is, but it's pretty tough. While I'm in here, I might as well, now I've got this going, I might as well just make sure that I've got most of the scale off. Just clean it up a bit. Just take a little bevel off the edge so that they're not sharp. That's better, much better. That lump's gone now, completely gone. So, I don't know if you'll be able to see in there if I can. No, it won't focus because I've got it on fixed focus, but there was a big lump in there, but that's gone. Super! Right, next job. So, I've mocked it up on the bench. I've just clamped it to the edge of the bench and squared it up with my square, made sure it's standing upright, and this is where I've got to put the holes. So I'm just going to mark it, and it's sitting quite nicely on the bench there, so it's sitting nice and level. So I want to mark it, and then I can drill it and then come back and mark the upright again. Now I've just had a thought that the drawing said that it should be 10.5 inches to the start of the bend from the base up to here, the start. Now I haven't done any measurements, this has all been just by eye and sort of working off the drawing, but I haven't actually measured anything, so I'm just checking. I don't know if you can see that that is damn near spot on 10.5 inches to the start of the bend. It's unbelievable. It's all coming together. Right, I've had a change of plan. I was going to use rivets, but due to the fact I haven't got any, I'm going to use these ball-headed bolts. Now this is a very old-fashioned way of fixing things. They're literally a bolt with a thread in them, and you put one either side of your job and screw them on, and that's it. Simple as that. And it was used on many jobs over the years. Very old-fashioned way of doing things, but very efficient. So I'm going to weld these nuts onto these bits of thread, and then clean them up, and hopefully that'll do the trick. Right, so let's just drill the upright first, or the brace first. I don't know why I'm calling it an upright, it's the brace, isn't it? You know what I'm on about. Well, you know that I don't know what I'm on about. Change the speed, go up high speed. That's backwards. Go the right way around. Just going through with my pilot. That's about, I don't know, 8th or 532 or something. Actually, I think it's 8th. Drop more joss up. I know I say it on every video, but this CT90 or cutting compound, doesn't matter what it is, whether it's what make it is, but it certainly helps with cutting, drilling, grinding. Well, not necessarily grinding, but certainly with drilling and cutting. Right, this is about 6.5mm, this drill. Drop the speed. because the threads I've got are 6mm. I didn't have any Imperial stuff knocking about, so I've gone to 6.5mm, so it gives me a little bit of leeway in case the holes aren't quite lined up. Now what I'm going to do now is also countersink the top of the holes. Not much, just enough so that when the ball is tightened up, it sort of sits into the bar slightly rather than just resting on top, because that will come loose quite easily if it's just literally resting on the bar. So if you countersink it a little bit, it just gives much more for the ball to grip into. You can just see it there. So let's go over and see if we can mark it up on the main bit of the bar. Just see if I can get a clamp on there where I need it. And for some reason this clamp isn't working properly. Not particularly good. Give it. No, what's the matter with it? Oh well, it's not working properly, but it's got it. Just enough for me to just stick my little automatic centre punch in and just mark on the main bar where those holes are. That's all you need. Just take it off, just check that I can actually see them. Yep. So we'll centre punch them up and go and drill them. Again, start off with the 8th. Get it lined up where I want it. Bit more Jossop. Through we go. This was another very good investment, this pillar drill. It's sort of a small radial arm, but it's very, very heavy. That bar at the back is solid. I think it's about a 5-inch bar, and it is solid. It's not a tube, and it's got a great big cast iron or cast steel possibly base plate on it, and it's a cracking tool. The only trouble was when I bought it, one of the gears had gone. It came from a school, and I think one of the kids had probably slammed it from high speed to low speed and stripped the gears. And the gears are actually they're like a Bakelite type material. I presume it's so that they're quiet or quieter. So I had to, luckily the manufacturers are still going. You can still get parts. I think it's a Meddings. So I managed to get the new gears, and it's been as good as gold ever since. I've had it many, many years. Cracking bit of kit. It's got a Morse taper in it, so you can put tapered drills in. Right, that's my 6mm or 6.5. Just going to put the countersink in again. Just turn it over because the balls are going to be going on this side. And just give them a quick countersink. As I say, I don't want much, but just enough so that they've got something to seat into and bite into a little bit. It tightens them up. You can just see it there. They tighten up much nicer. So let's see if we can put it all together. Right, I'm going to go in from underneath, which is going to actually be on top. See if I can get this hand to work to do this nut up. I doubt it, but no, useless. Let's got the first one. second one. Now this is going to make life difficult to do them up, doing it this way around, because I won't be able to get my pliers in very well because of the scroll on one end. You can see there I can't get it in, so I'm going to have to tighten it up from underneath, which is actually on top. I'll explain in a minute why I'm doing it that way around. But once you find that that ball starts to grip in that countersink, it really grips tight. There you go. Right, so what have we got to do next? Look at that. That's pulled up nice and tight, nice and flat. I'm just going to grind the tops off of these, and the reason I put them this way up is so the water doesn't go down in through the thread. If it was up the other way, the water could possibly get in the thread. Because the top ones are welded, you can't, so that's why I put it that way around. So let's get it all cleaned up. I'm not going to put the band on now. I thought I might, but I don't think I am. I like the look of it like this. I think a band in there as well would be too much. So I've cleaned it all up a bit, and there we go. It's all together. That's basically how it's going to go. I've just lashed it onto a lump of 4x2 to give you an idea of how it's going to go. That I think will look nice once that's all blacked up. The glass is in, the bulb's in, and that's hanging up 10 foot in the air. I've still got some cleaning up of this to do. Well, all of it really. I'm going to clean it up. I'm going to spend a couple of hours now sort of sanding and wire brushing and things. That goes on there quite nicely. See, there's still a few marks in that hood. One or two people have asked, where's the electrics going to go? Through there. That will go at the back when it's all put together properly, and I'll probably put a band of rubber around it, and there's another hole inside this square so that the cable can either go straight through the middle in that big hole, which will be a grommet, which is directly above the holder, or the slightly smaller hole on the right, and then it can come in from the edge. So I've left lots of holes so that the electrician can sort of please himself as to which way he wants to put it all together. Anyway, that is about it. So thanks for watching the series. I hope you've enjoyed it. I will obviously do a follow-up when it's all put together. Thanks for watching.